how I started. I started my first job in America was a tire shop. I was changing tires. Yeah. And my first car in America was actually a gift from someone who came to change the tires of a car at the tire shop that I was working there. She came with two cars and she was going to change the tires from one car to the other. And I just simply asked, "Oh, why are you changing all the tires?" And she said, "Because I'm taking the tire to the junkyard." To the junkyard? Why? Because I can't pay for the parking anymore. What if I can buy the car? If you want the car, you can have it. And that was how I got my first car in America. And what I think we are doing that is also wrong is not sharing the codes. If you are in Nigeria and you are doing a business, that you think can help other Nigerians, share the codes. Because only you cannot fit everything. Share the codes, share the ideas. It's something that we are still bad with as a people. We don't share ideas. We don't share, opportunities. When we find ourselves in a room, we shut the door.
Many immigrants arrive with big dreams, but little clarity on how they can make their side hustles thrive. As a matter of fact, my guest today is nothing short of amazing gentleman who has distinguished himself in the area of showing what is possible. And he has been in the front line guiding professionals, hustlers, African immigrant community, and first-time founders on how they can turn their ideas into businesses that don't only survive, but grow. And if you have ever wondered on how you can bridge the gap between ambition, execution, then this conversation is what you don't want to miss. My guest today is no other person than Mr. Ayo Ibrahim. Mr. Ayo Ibrahim is the founder of FinServe Pro. This is a financial service and business advisory firm that is dedicated to helping immigrants and aspiring entrepreneurs turn their hustle to sustainable business. With years of experience in finance, in business strategy, and community empowerment, he has built a reputation for demystifying money management among African diaspora. And the mission is simple: to equip as many with the tools, with the confidence, and with the wealth building capacity that can help us go beyond just living to thriving in anywhere we find ourselves. And just as you know that on this podcast, it is titled My Strong Why, I'm going to be having a special conversation with Mr. Ayo on the why behind what he does in our community and every other thing that can help us become better off where we are. Sit back and get a pen, and please share this link so that your friends and loved ones can also enjoy it. I'll be back. Thank you for joining. Episode of My Strong Why Show is proudly sponsored by Low Data Publishing, a subsidiary of Low Data Consulting LLC. At Low Data, we help high-achieving entrepreneurs, professionals, and faith-driven coaches turn their stories, wisdom, live assignments into best-selling and six-figure legacy book. Because your story isn't just a content, it is a currency, a calling, and it is a catalyst for transformation. So if you be sitting on a message that the world needs to hear, don't let fear or confusion set in. Let's help bring your book to life. Book your free consultation now at lodataconsultingllc.com, and I'll see you inside. All right, welcome back, Mr. Ayo Ibrahim. Good evening to you, and how are you doing today?
Good evening, Mrs. Atekoja. I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
Perfectly. You're on spot. Thank you for
having
honoring this invitation. And I know how busy your schedule. I know how many hours, how many weeks that we've been back and forth on getting you on this show. And I know the importance of having you on our show because we are spotlighting. The essence of this is to make our voice, the voice of everyone that is helping to promote what the Nigerian narrative is supposed to be. And in that space, as many people that we can have to come and engage our community to see how we can become better off. That is why we exist. And I'm so happy and proud of what you represent in our community. And so I would like you to go ahead and please introduce yourself to our listener and a little bit about your background.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much again for having me. You've done a very wonderful introduction. I think whatever I have to say right now will just be specifics. Specifics like, yes, I'm a man, and I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a financial expert, like you rightly, introduced. And yeah, like you and I'm an immigrant living here in the United States. I use the word intentionally because there's a difference between living and existing, right? And yes, you talked about narrative, how the Nigerian narrative should be. I would go further and say what, an immigrant narrative should be. Uh, and that is what I live for now. Some would call me the influence, that I have the gift of influencing the greatness, out of anyone that I come in contact with. And yeah, I've been here in the United States for 8 years now. And as you rightly mentioned, I founded FinServe Pro, which is a financial services company promoting financial inclusion, closing out that gap that we see every day, especially with immigrants who find it so difficult to navigating the system, especially the financial system. Because everyone that comes into this country from anywhere is pursuing what we call the American dream. And American dream uh, is not uh, is not attained if you don't have that financial freedom. If you are not able to build that wealth that you can transfer, to your future generation, and that is who I am. I'm just performing, or executing who I am in the financial space. But basically, I am that individual who love to come in contact with someone and help in my own way. And coming out here, yes, as you mentioned, it's been a bit difficult, but it's something that I know I have to do. This is not the first, show that I'll be joining. This is not the first podcast. I know I have to do this because we also need to document. It is one thing for you to have a gift. It is another thing for you to document it, and which is why I'm, more than proud of you two looking behind you, seeing the books you've written. You talk every time we talk. You always mention the idea of, writing books, which is basically documenting who you are for future generation. And what more can I say about myself? Uh, there's a lot, but I think that's a few of the specifics that I can, say about myself. And once again, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much for that. And I love to ask some of us, when we look at our coming into the country, and regardless of how it has been, one of the common narrative and one of what you said is the fact that you love to help bring out the beauty and the greatness in this community. How did you find yourself in this part? Was this, I know so many of us, when we look at our career and our career paths, and to how it used to be back then. Our parents just tell us, these are the three main core programs. You either go for law, you're in medicine, or accountancy, or engineering assistant. So can you give us a background on how you find yourself in this path? Or was just a case of you were forced into it, or you just love this and you knew this is where you're going to be functioning? Tell us a little about your academic and how you find yourself in the finance world.
So I love to study animal, but I still do. Uh, if you have been following my, stories on social media, you will see me, taking pictures, making videos about animals. In fact, a few months ago, I had this duck, laid her eggs not far away from me here. I would go there every day to feed the ducks, on the while she was sitting on her head. I knew the day that they hatched, and I love studying, studying of animals so much that I wanted to be a zoologist. But I remember then my dad, during those days when we were writing the jam,
Yeah.
my dad was like, zoology, what do you want to do with that?
What?
Uh, and he was and the other thing, I mean, this is how I got into finance. I would look at my dad in the morning, the way he gorgeously dressed. My dad is big on dressing. Sunday afternoons, he would bring out his shoes, over 20. I'm not capping here. And ask that I polish his shoes, black, brown, beige, white. He's so big on dressing. So the moment he got my mind away from zoology,
Mm.
the next thing was to wonder
Mm.
what my dad was doing. To look that, you know,
Sharp.
hands
Yeah.
up, you know, every morning.
Mm.
And then I remember I had two Pojo, 504 Pojo then, that would take him to work. So he alternate the cars every day. He had a blue and then he had a black. But they gave to him, and then I had the opportunity of going to see him in his office once in a while. And I see the way, I'm being accorded this respect, of the manager, of the branch.
Oh, God. Like,
Uh, yeah, and somehow I was able to say, okay, you know what, I think I want to go, into the finance related. Yeah. And I got this love for economics.
Mhm.
Uh, but unfortunately, I wasn't admitted to study economics in University of Ibadan then. Rather,
Mm.
I got admitted into accounting in
Mm.
Olabisi Onabanjo University. But
Mm.
this happened, right? My first year, I was the best, I got the best result in introduction to economics in the whole of the university.
Faculty. Yeah.
That the faculty of economics, the department of economics requested that I, be moved to the economics department. But then my HOD said, no,
Used
this
to
guy right here is one of our best
it.
students. He's doing nothing, right?
Oh my
But
God.
looking back now,
The battle between two
oh yeah, looking back now, studying economics, being a chartered accountant from Nigeria, and with what I'm doing, I strongly feel is what I'm called. Is what I'm
different.
called. Yeah, accounting is what it's part of what I'm called to do. Yeah.
Yeah, wow, that's so significant. And I'm so happy that while you're just talking, we happen to have the same alma mater. I
Oh,
also
really?
graduated from the Department of the Faculty of Science, Department of Industrial Chemistry. Yeah. So,
Interesting.
so so we are in the mini campus. You guys are the main. Wow. Okay, let's talk about community, the immigrant community here in the United States. And fast forward to your pathway and to what you were trying to mention while you were introducing yourself about the American dream. How well can you say we have done? We have the statistics out there. Africans, especially Nigerians, go to tech, we're there, go to law, go to medicine, go to this and all that. But when we talk about the American dream, the way we're supposed to understand it or what we are looking forward to, how will you say we have failed? And what are those things that you feel are the gaps that we need to cover to actually actualize the true freedom that we all were looking forward to coming to America?
Yeah. It's I don't want to use the word sad, but I think there is a lot uh, that we have to do to achieve the greater part of the American dream that we talk about. And I'll break it down. Um, when you were coming to this country, when you left Nigeria, you were coming to pursue the American dream for yourself, maybe with your husband and
Yeah.
then your children. A household,
Yeah.
right? I
Mhm.
believe the thought must have been, oh, I'm going to America. When I get to America,
Start to
I
greener
get
pastor.
I
You
get
know?
good job, make sure I take care of my kids, I
Yeah,
build houses back home,
sure. You able to
That
support.
is an individual, an individualistic American dream, right? Now there's a greater part
Mm,
of it, which is the communal, the
mm,
community, American dream,
yeah.
right? Which is why what we see mostly now
Mhm,
is individuals making great impact, doing big stuffs
yeah. Mhm.
individually. But
Yes.
we are not, right now, we've not achieved that communal American dream that we can say
Mm,
that this is, what we have achieved as a people, as a
mm,
community,
mm.
right?
I get you.
If you look at this country,
Mm,
we have communities
mm,
that when someone is coming from their country,
mm,
all they need to do is take this number. When you get to America, call this individual,
mm,
and then they will sort you out with basic stuffs, like even housing,
mm,
right?
mm,
Jobs.
mm,
In our own community right now, if someone is coming from Nigeria, is coming, as we say it back home, on
mm.
your
Your
lower,
own. Yeah, your
right?
own.
Because as of today, we don't have that community that can allow for our own economy that is
Mm,
able to help
mm,
those of us that are here at the moment, that we can call the system, you know, a dependable and formidable system that, give for example, who may need funding for an idea, and you reach out to your community, and the community is able to say, this money that the community have put together, right? When you use it, bring it back so we can do it somebody else. This
mm,
exists in other economies, man. It
mm,
exists in other communities that I know, right?
yeah.
We have communities today that if you want to buy something, you have to buy from some in that community. You cannot take your money out.
Outside. Mm,
So talk about
mhm,
the American dream. What I see right now is individuals achieving, on their own.
mm,
But we have to get beyond that. We have to be able to put these resources together and achieve a community-based American dream that can serve as a system,
mm,
to help our ideas
mm.
become businesses. So there's a lot that we have
Yeah,
to do.
yeah.
Are we on the right track? Yes. Because if you ask me, 10, 20, 15 years ago, no one can do what we are doing with our respective businesses. How can you even get a business registered,
Mm,
right? Well, when all because of the restrictions, let me put it that way,
mm,
right? But now you can come into the country and have an idea
mm,
and bring the idea into life,
mm,
right? Because we have fewer, restrictions now. So we are on the right track. And
mhm,
I believe one of the things we can do to achieve what I see is achievable is having honest conversations like this, you
mm,
know,
mhm,
talking about where we are and where we can be.
mm.
Because sometimes
Yes.
when you don't even know what you are able to do, what you can do,
Yeah.
there will be no direction. So, which
Mm,
is why we have to continue to have this kind of honest, intelligent, and purposeful conversation, documenting.
mm,
Imagine if somebody comes from Nigeria tomorrow now and stumbles on this video. It
mm,
gives a direction that you don't have to wait for so years to do so things,
mm.
right? These are individuals that are doing it, and you can do it too.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, so and which is why again I want to applaud you, for what you are doing. And I know that prosperity would, someday, compensate you for it.
Thank you very much. And talking about passion and everything you just knew, I think I want to also appreciate what the likes of Nigerian Center, NALA, NEPA, and some of the African communities that have come together, to help begin to give us the awareness, so to say, that if we don't get ourselves to sit at the table, we will continue to eat crumbs. And I love the fact,
If the
yeah,
menu on the table,
yeah, we'll be eating crumbs. We'll not even be invited to the table.
yeah.
So I want you to also speak to what you just rightly mentioned about Nigerians. And I can relate to what you said, that you have an idea, you just find yourself to be the type that is wired to business, to entrepreneurship, and you don't know how to start. What are those money making mistakes or biggest that you've seen that our community are making when it comes to us starting a business or getting registered or going to that space? Or so many people are even afraid, they don't even want to go there. What will you advise
Yeah,
to people?
I mean, there are so many things, that there are so many mistakes that I see, um, Nigerians doing, and I can class them. But because of what the focus is about this conversation, I would go to the one that directly relates. Because there are mistakes directly relates to what we are doing. Because there are mistakes we make as to settling down. There are mistakes we make as to starting a business, right? Now, since this is directed towards, you know, business ideas, I would just focus on that. Now, the biggest of the mistakes that I see is someone, not setting up a structure to protect and scale an idea, right? Imagine, imagine what I'm doing right now. I know a lot of people who are accountants like me. They can help with tax preparation like me, and everything they've done is get the system, the software to help file taxes, and then we just tell friends and families, oh, I can file taxes. And then they take their taxes to them and then they help with the taxes. It's not done under a business name, right? The money that they are collecting is paid into their private accounts, right? What am I saying in essence is you have an idea, don't execute that idea in your name. Get a disregarded entity, a business, register a NLC at first, right? And then whatever, register a business, open a bank account for the business. Whatever asset you want to get it in the name of the asset. You want to rent a place, for example, which of course is not an asset, right? Get it in the name of the business. You want to get a vehicle to move around, get it in the name of the business. Um, you can even go to the extent of trademarking that name if you feel it's a name that you want to, use and you think is very, very unique. Protect, protect, create a structure that can scale. Because, for example, if at the end of the day you think that this is a good idea and you want to expand, and you go to the bank that you want to get some funding to expand, and then they ask you for your articles of organization, for example, you don't have one. They ask you for your EIN, you don't have one. They ask you for a bank account, you don't have one. The other thing that I see a lot of business owners are making as a huge mistake is not having what I call an accounting system. Whether your business is a sole proprietorship, whether or a single member LLC, multi-member LLC, partnership, C corporation, you need to have an accounting system that can help you capture the transactions of the business. I'll give you a very good example. If I perform, we've rendered a service to you before. We help with keeping your business in good standing, which is a big mistake a lot of people do. They register business, they don't know that every year you need to fill out what we call the annual form to keep the business in good state. And then when they want to go get a contract, they will tell them, we are sorry, we cannot. I have someone who was going to buy a car in North Carolina. And then he went to the dealership to get a car in the name of the business. When they search the name of the business, it says inactive, meaning he has not submitted his annual form yet. And then the guy said it's not possible. And then he called me right there, and I said, yeah, let's look at what is happening. And then I said, you've not submitted your annual form. And I said, remember about 2, 3 months ago that I texted you that your annual form is due. This is what I was saying, right? And then we submitted the annual form immediately, and then he was able to get, the car. I think just 2 weeks ago. Now, what I was trying to say is, when we provide a service to you, you pay, you make payment to the business. The payment goes into your bank account. We now have an accounting system that helps you capture that transaction from the bank account into your accounting system and codes it as revenue. When you make payments, really you paid for office expenses, you paid for rent, you paid for taxes, the same accounting system will help you capture that transaction, and then you can code it. So at the end of the year, when you are going to file your taxes, when you are going to a bank to get a loan, when you have a partner and maybe you guys need to have a report about the financial of the business, all you need to do is to go into the accounting system and just take the profit and loss. It asks you for what period. You put in the period and you hit download, and that's it. 90% of our business owners in our community don't have this system. And a lot of the times, it costs you just about $30 a month. To have a simple accounting system, we always recommend QuickBooks, but we have other accounting system that you can use that would help you track the financials of your business. That is, these are some of the mistakes that business owners make in our community. Now, to individual mistakes that we make when we come into this country, one of the biggest one that I see is that we don't have budgets.
How do you mean?
Thank you very much. As an immigrant moving to a new country for the first time, right? The greatest of your resources, the most powerful of your resources is your income. Because don't forget, in this part of the world, you can't even go to your neighbor to ask for salt.
Impossible.
Right? So you need to know how much income you are making. Right? And then you must be able to tell yourself, what are those things that are so important, like your rents, like your groceries, right? If you don't have a car yet, how much do you have to take a bus to your job? What you need to wear? You need to prioritize your basic needs over luxuries, over what we call black tax, money that we send back home to families and friends. Because when you cannot stand on your feet in a new country, you cannot help your families and friends to rise. But what I see a lot of the time is that people come in here and they have no budgets. It happened to me, ma. My first full year in America, I could not account for $19,000. $19,000.
That's
I was doing my maths in March of 2019, and I could not account for $19,000. And something just told me to go and check my World Remit account. My World Remit was the one that I was using to send money back home to Nigeria. 19,000 was there. Of those $19,000, 80% or more was for families. I'm going to tell us school. I want to do this. I'm telling you, in just my first year in America, Imagine if that $30,000 I've been able to save maybe about 10,000. That before you ask me for money, I want to be stable first. It's not you being wicked. It is you being rational to tell a friend, and which is why so many Nigerians will come here and they will just fall off the radar. You will not know where they are. They will go on Facebook. They will change their phone. Cannot trace them. Cannot do that though. I would never ever do that. I'm not never going to suggest for anybody to do that. But we all know our strengths and weaknesses. You cannot leave Nigeria to come here to hustle and then immediately you think you can help people back home. At the end of the day, you will just see that you would never achieve anything in this country. That is another thing. The other one is you being here and then thinking right away you can start investing in Nigeria. At least set you get your footing right.
Because you don't have your footing yet.
I see a lot of people who they don't even have $1,000 in their savings. Instead of buying homes, but they have two houses in Nigeria as we speak. 2, 3 houses in Nigeria. And guess what, man? Some of these individuals don't even have documentation to go back to this point. What are you doing? They're not to get home someday to meet our dreams. This is where you are right now. This should be home. Which is why I love what you said, changing the narrative to what it should be. You have left Nigeria. Yes, you should not forget Nigeria, but I strongly feel that the best way to succeed back home is to succeed here.
Of course.
Succeed here first, so that someday you can take that wealth
and duplicate what you have been able to do successfully.
As simple as ABC now.
Wow, that is absolutely spot on. That is very, very valid. And I want to say that sometimes, just alluding to what you mentioned about the tax, the black tax, many of us are just a product of us wanting. Sometimes some people do it just to prove a point. The arrival, how do you call it? Mentality. I'm here now, and people want to just show up. And
I have arrived.
Yeah, and all over the Facebook, everywhere, and then people will come because you have identified, you have advertised yourself that the ground is green, so you guys can come. And there's wisdom in what you've shared. We should be able to come to that place where you know this is the minimum, which even if anything cries outside of this, no dime can come out of this. So it talks about the budgeting that we've rightly said. Thank you for sharing that. I want to also ask now, for some of us listening now that they know they need a side hustle, they want to do something, but they just don't know how to start. What are the steps or what are the tests? How do we advise people who are thinking? Because I know digitally the world has changed post-COVID, and so many things have now changed how business is being done. In fact, we should not even go into how personally you can brand yourself, and from the corner of your room there in Rosedale or in Maryland or wherever, you can showcase your expertise and the world can start bidding part to exchange values. So if there are people that they still have their 9 to 5, what are the best way you advise them to go about thinking of or validating the idea they want to go ahead and start as a business?
Yeah, it would interest you that I still have a 9 to 5.
Wow, tell me more.
I still have a 9 to 5. I work as a manager of accounting, managing accounting department of the company, and I'm blessed to have the approval of my employer, to do what I do, because the way they see it is not me really running a business. It's me helping my community. My CEO would say, Ayo, I see how you help your community, right? That's how they see me. So they allow for me to do everything that I'm doing. And it means to say that I as a person feels everybody should go through a 9 to 5 system, right? Because when you have a 9 to 5, it gives you the opportunity to work, in big corporations, in established, companies that you can learn, from the system, right? I believe a 9 to 5 should equip you, with the knowledge that can someday help you identify what you can do. Because if you would ask me, no matter how big a company is, they have their gaps, they have their weaknesses. A 9 to 5 should help you identify that and try to either bridge or close, right? And once you think that the idea is something that is sellable, that can scale, that can truly close a gap, create a structure around it, right? You should at least allow for yourself to gain experience, because like I say all the time, the best form of preparation is experience. The best form of preparation is experience. Sometimes we find ourselves in situations where we do so well without really preparing, right? And then people applaud you. How did you do that? And then you are also asking yourself, how did I
You are
do
not
this?
able to
Right?
document what
With
led
the
to what.
experience. You perform that well, not by luck. It's from the experience that you've garnered over the time that is sitting somewhere in you, waiting for that moment. So
Absolutely.
again, the best form of preparation is experience. And if that experience allows for you to someday have an idea, make sure you pin it down, because ideas have wings. When they come to you and you don't pin them down, groom them, grow them, develop them, scale them, they fly away looking for the next serious person. And then you see someone else doing something and you're like, this is the same thing that I thought of the last time. The idea left you for them. Right? And most of the time, when you don't know how to, get things done, this is another thing I see a lot of us not doing. Look for a professional. Many of us, we are misers with the ideas that can make us wealthy. I don't want to use the word rich. We negotiate. We negotiate monetarily with what can be of immense blessings to us. A lot of us, we are not able to part with hundreds of dollars for something that can give us millions. If you have an idea that you know can work, right? Sacrifice those few dollars to look for someone that can mentor you, to look for someone that can help you, add flesh to your ideas. This is why we have professionals, accountants, lawyers, book writers like you. That is why they have spent so much of their time to learn, to help you. Seek it. Even with that few dollars, right? So you can, become what you should become. But most of the time, of us, we have this idea and we are trying to figure it out on our own. And sometimes we get into trouble. Just yesterday, I was talking to this client who intended, his intention is to register a company, for himself, a single member LLC, right? Unfortunately, when he was doing the registration himself, he added another name. When he was now applying for EIN, the way he applied for the EIN, it says that the business is a partnership business. And he did not intend to run a partnership business.
Mm.
Now, the money is avoiding to spend. He's not going to spend double because we are now going to file for amendments of articles. We are going to file for EIN correction with the IRS. Now you are going to spend more money. You are going to waste time just by not seeking the help of a professional. There are so many things you can do. I mean, I can go on and on and on, but the summary is that if you have a business, if you have an idea, make sure you house it in a structure before it leaves for the next person.
Mm. Oh, thank you very much. Well said. I want to also quickly ask that, looking at the role you play in the community, and I want to ask, part of what you do and your services, how can you help immigrants, startups to overcome some of the barrier in markets like in the US we have? So are there things that you do in your company? How do you help? For somebody that just have an idea, is just there thinking of how to bring it to life, what are the ways you come up and be of help to listeners and watching?
Yeah. Initially, I used to be angry. When I see people make the kind of mistake that I just mentioned now, I get angry. It really
It's your
it eats me up. I get so upset. But I think 2 years into the business, um, I told myself, what some of us would say we had a voice, sometimes with the spirit, because I believe so much in the Holy Spirit. But don't you think you see these things because you can help? So rather than you, let it eat you up, upset you, take the
I do something about it.
responsibility and try to do something about it. Which is why we now have what we call the Wealth Blueprint, which is to educate, you know, uh, everyone, especially immigrants, that this is what you can do from the day you move to this country, the day you landed to this country. This is what you can do. And regarding whatever, you know, course you want to kind of chat, right? This is what you can do. If you want to be a business owner, you can just take this route. If you want to work for a while, you can take this route. So we have the World Blueprint today to educate our community on business ownership, on you making sure that you insure yourself. I mean, I lay emphasis on insurance a lot of the times, to letting you understand the difference between, your spending, your savings, and your investment. You need to understand that there are three different things. To understand that you must have a budget. This is not a country where you can depend on people, like Nigeria, you don't have Gary. You
It's
go
all
and
back
knock
on your
on your neighbor, you know. Yeah, you can't do that here. Yeah, I mean, in this country, yeah, we have, I was reading a book the other day, talking about people just being so personal with their way of life here. We don't have that communal kind of, way of life in this country. You need to have a budget, right? You must understand that in this country, you don't need to have money to buy land, have money to do foundation, have money to do decking, have money to do roofing. No, all you need to do is to have a great credit, history, credit report, and then income, of course. You must have stable income, and then you can take that to the bank, you can get money, and then you can own your own home. Now, owning home does not mean that the moment you move into it, you own the home outright. No, you have to continue to pay your mortgage, which is a combination of your interest and your principal and your interest. You need to have escrow, to pay for your insurance. And
Mm.
for that house, you have different kind of insurance that you need to get. This is a country that when you are past a certain age, you can get what we call final expense insurance. It's not that you will not die and then your children will not be setting up GoFundMe,
Mm.
to send you
Mhm.
to eternal home. A
Mm.
lot of things, that we are doing. So that is one, which is the World Blueprint. The other thing that we are doing that we are going to be starting by October 1st is our YouTube page. So FinServe Pro is having a YouTube page where you can get videos to also educate you
Mm.
as someone living here in the United States. Yes,
Awesome.
we have so much of it, focused on immigrants, but it's
Mm.
a video that everybody can learn. It will surprise you. It will surprise you that our president might not know what is called ITIN, Individual Tax Identification Number, which is an alternate number of Social Security number. I've seen government officials that I walk up to mention items, they don't know what it is. And you cannot blame them. Because since they were born, what they know is social security number. They have no reason to know what an item is. So one of the things we are also doing is to bring it closer to our government officials what our needs are as immigrants, and that if needs are met, we can then be able to help.
Mm.
See, we can pay our taxes, right? We
Mm.
can become more responsible,
Correct.
you know, yeah.
Mm.
So these are what we are doing. And
Mm.
another thing that we're going to be starting very soon is having short clinics, uh, to educate the people. So the team and I, we are thinking of having short clinics that
Mhm.
would basically focus on how an immigrant, can settle, what
Mhm.
they should do, what are your responsibility to your county, to your
Good.
state, to your
Meetings, yeah.
to your to the country itself. So
Mm.
that's something that we just dropped in the pipeline this past weekend, and yeah,
Wow.
we'll see them, unfolding in the next, few months.
Well done. That is great. Thank you. That is more or less like a financial clinic providing financial education
Exactly.
at the
Exactly.
very at a very relatable space to everyone that desires to have one. I know our time is so fast spent, and we've not even gone to any other. We've just been on this same subject, but I'm going to be
I
wrapping up
mean,
quickly.
I'm always here. We can have this as a series.
Great. I love that. Thank you. So if you look at how looking ahead, we're talking about how the disruption is happening. Before it used to be oil, it used to be this. Now we're talking about tech, talking about AI. And when you look at our under explored section in our African diaspora space, what are those areas you think we can begin to look into or we should pay attention to that can be of help that we could see as leverage that could help us also to be able to play big in the part of financial freedom or the wealth transfer as it is evolving in this place and this time.
Yeah. If you look at the tech business today,
Mm.
you would see it's mostly controlled. Um, you know, Indians,
Mhm.
um, people from the Asian part of the world, right?
Mhm. Sure.
Uh, and you ask yourself, why?
Mhm.
Uh, it's it's not solely because they love tech.
Yeah.
Our children love tech too, but there is a major contributor to that. When their parents came to this country years ago,
Mhm.
they stayed. They
Mm.
stayed,
Mhm.
suffered,
Mm.
make sure that their children, you know, um, went through the school system of this country,
Yeah.
and now these children are there. When
Mm.
our own parents came to this part of the world years ago, a lot
Yes, sir.
of them returned back to Nigeria,
Mm.
returned back with children that should
Mm.
be here now
Yeah.
to have a share of control, in these sectors.
Yeah.
Now, what am I trying to say there is,
Mm.
yes, health sector is good, right?
Mm.
But even right now, we are not dominating the health sector. If you look at uh, what we are doing in the health sector, major part of that is what I would call the certified nursing assistant, CNA, DNA, right? How many of us own clinics today? How many of us own hospitals today compared to? So we are just contributing to the labor force, to the workforce. We are not business owners. Even in the sector that we think that we have a lot of us, working in, right? So we should, if we want to control any sector, we have to shift from that mindset. And unfortunately, it's something that we have from back home. That all you need to do is to go to the university and get a job.
Get a good job.
Just get a good job. Many of us
settle down and retire.
Retire, right? Many of us, many of us went,
Even leaving that side,
they
that's
are tutored or motivated or kind of mentored to be business owners even from back home. The system does not support. So when we come to this part of the world that has the facility to back you, if you have an idea, yes, believe me, it's still tough. At least the system here is still way better than what we have back home for someone who has an idea. I, for example, have not gotten a loan from any bank since I started FinServe Pro. All the money that I've been using for the business, I started with money from my 9 to 5. 9 to 5, and then I started creating money, because as I provide services, right, money comes in. So right now we are not spending the money, on ourselves. Every of the income we generate from the business, we put into the business. I have not gotten any loan for the business since we started. Right? So we need to start having a change of mindset if you are here in this country to just being a 9 to 5 and then you retire to killing that idea. And then we look at other sectors like the tech. I'm seeing an improvement in that though. I'm beginning to see Nigerians having little startups in tech. Right? We have some clients. I was just in Arizona the other day, and I met with some business owners who are going into the solar business. So things are beginning to change. But yes, I think we should not only focus on the health sector in this country. We can go into tech. We can go into um, oil and gas. I was just talking to my pastor today, who introduced me to someone who got 2 oil wells in Colorado Springs. There are so many businesses that we can do. And the other thing that I think we should start looking at too is how we can, become government contractors. They have people doing it, but not so many of Nigerians are doing it. And what I think we are doing that is also wrong is not sharing the codes. If you are a Nigerian and you are doing a business, that it take and help other Nigerians, share the codes. Because only you cannot eat everything. Share the codes, share the ideas. It's something that we are still bad with as a people. We don't share ideas. We don't share, opportunities. When we find ourselves in a room, we shut the door. We shut the door behind us. We need to change that mentality of only me, myself, and I. I was in a room the other day and I found just one other Nigerian. Just one other Nigerian in a room filled with business owners. if I'm not exaggerating, would be like maybe like 600. And only one other Nigerian. Immediately, I did a video in that room and posted it. This is where I am. And in this room, I see only one other Nigerian in this place. And if you are a business owner doing this and this and this, you can join this association. That's what it should be. We cannot just be hoarding. We will be hoarding ideas, hoarding resources, hoarding opportunities. Share. Like we say in Allah, kaje for Lodun Ayo. How do you say?
But so yeah. Yeah, you are right. You are right. You reminded
Especially
me
for
of
something
this.
that it can go round.
Yeah.
You will just die there.
Yeah. I remember a quote that somebody said that says, if you say it's lonely at the top, it means you didn't take anybody along. It shouldn't be lonely.
You should not be
Yeah.
lonely.
You should,
Simple.
if you bring some people along with you, you're going to be able to have people. That's great to you. Wow. Mr. Ayo, I just know that these few minutes of us that we're having cannot do justice to so many things and the wealth of wisdom that is seated in you. And I want to ask that whenever we're going to call for, because I didn't even get into this beautiful bill and how it concerns us and some of the things we need to watch out. I'm going to allow you to just say a line or two, and then I want you to tell our viewers how they can reach you and how you can get to know more about any program and initiative that you're having or coming. And lastly, have you ever thought of writing a book?
Oh, well, so I would answer your question, as you,
Let's
yeah.
come back to
So,
that, but I want you to please talk to Bruce Keaton.
yeah,
What?
so on the big beautiful bill, it's something so it's so much that it's not something I can break down in few minutes. But yes, it's now the big beautiful act, because it's now a law. And in that law, we have aspects that would affect, your tax season, your tax filing next tax season. So if you are listening to this and you want to know the specifics, one I would say is the child tax credit. It has been increased. Now the 100% depreciation for vehicle is now back. We have other items in the act that would affect how you file your taxes. If you are listening to this and you need to know what you need to look out for, just give us a call on 240-714-8958, and we'll be glad to help you. Yeah, and then you talk about writing a book. Yeah, in fact, right now I have three titles. My website is not live. I have a website, ayomideIbrahim.com. I don't think it's live because we're working on it, and I'm looking forward to publishing my first three books. Possibly when I'm 50. I chose that age for a reason, and I'll just let out one, of the book that I have a title, which is simply Ayomide Ibrahim. Yeah, that's it. And the book will be focusing on my journey, you know. And one interesting thing that people will be finding out is my name is actually Kashim Ayomide Ibrahim. Kashim being on my birth certificate, it's Kashim Ayomide Ibrahim. So Kashim should be my first name. But my grandmother who raised me would write Ayomide K. Ibrahim, when I was going to be registered in my first school, elementary, and so that's how I automatically bear the name, Ayomide Kashim, Ibrahim, rather Kashim Ayomide Ibrahim. So these are some of the things you'll be finding out. It's going to be something, it's going to be a book that will tell you interesting thing about me, my growing up, how I was raised, how, I who I am as of the time of the book. And some of the interesting things you'll be finding out is that I was raised, by my grandmother before my parents, took over when I came to the US. How I started. I started my first job in America was a tire shop. And I was changing tires. Yeah. So can you believe that? Yeah. And my first car in America was actually a gift from someone who came to change the tires of a car at the tire shop that I was working there. She came with two cars and she was going to change the tires from one car to the other. And I just simply asked, "Oh, why are you changing all the tires?" And he said, "Because I'm taking the tire to the junkyard." To the junkyard? Why? Because I can't pay for the parking anymore. What if I can buy the car? If you want the car, you can have it. And that was how I got my first car in America.
Wow.
A Lexus 8B100. I can't remember the year now, but if I could guess, I think it's about 1999, E3 Lexus. So many interesting, how I was pulled over by my first pulled over by police. There are so many interesting things, to me. And of course, the book is going to be talking about how, you know, I am transitioning from my 9 to 5 to what I call a sidepreneur. A sidepreneur meaning someone who has this
Yeah.
entrepreneur, setup on the side with a 9 to 5. It's going to be an
It's
interesting book. Yeah.
absolutely
The
something
other two
that
topics I'm not going to let out now.
I'm just going to let you know that there's a lot of people that will want to learn from your wealth of experience. And I
Yeah.
can tell because so many people out there, many are aspiring, they desire to do this, but they don't have the right mentorship or the right guidance that can help. Just like what you alluded to, that if you have this expertise, if you know how to do this, you should be championing how others can. And that is the campaign that led onto what we are doing, My Strong Work. I was also sitting in my own space, just casually looking at, well, I'm okay to an extent. I don't need to, I don't bother anybody. My life is good. But I saw that as Africans in diaspora, I saw that that narrative of us not being celebrated, the many of us that are great achievers in different spheres of influence that we have chosen, and many don't get to know what we do or what we represent. And if we don't tell our stories, the truth is the fact that nobody can tell it the way we will tell it. And because it's our story, it's rich. There are so many people that will learn, and it is a way of us preserving the legacy. Some of those things that have helped us in that journey to where we are, how we can pass on those useful lessons so that there is no gap. And that is why I have always continued to be at the forefront of this campaign, that if you have a story, you have an expertise, you have a wisdom, and you thought it's nothing and nobody's going to ever, I want to challenge you that that is not 100% true. We're looking for you. I want you to please, if you have seen something that sparked your interest in this conversation, I encourage you to please reach out. I'll be leaving the details of how you can connect further with Mr. Ayo Ibrahim of FinServe Pro, and also to please share this video to a friend and to somebody that you know can learn about it. And remember, if you are ready to write your book or you've been thinking of how you could, Lodata Publishing is your go-to. And we offer services from done with you and done for you, till from ideation to when your book is finally published and launched. So reach out. And now, finally, Mr. You have to sign out your last, your parting shot, and I want us to go Nigerian with, if you can go line in your dialect, and then something we don't know about. You've already told us anyway. So give us your parting shot as we wrap this edition.
I mean, my parting shot, I have so many, but I have this one that, you know, I think of a lot of the times when I see how we carry ourselves in this country, which is what I say, big bad, national big. A lot of the times, a lot of us, we complain about how we are being treated by others. Sometimes you are not taking the responsibility to show others how you want them to treat you by the way you treat them. Yeah. Show people the easiest way to show someone how you want to be treated is how you treat them. If you want respect, show respect. If you want love, show love. If you want kindness, show kindness. Then you will receive it back. You cannot get what you don't give. So we have what they say, men of corner there. You can't give what you don't have. But I say you cannot get what you don't give. And in this part of the world that we need ourselves, unlike what, the society is telling us that we don't need each other. In fact, today I saw a Coca-Cola campaign that they deliberately put in a school, their refrigerator, what do you call it again? This their, it's not the regular refrigerator. Cooling, this cooling van, but the cooling, this Coca-Cola fridge that you can see from inside. They deliberately put them in different colleges, but the taps, for these bottles, you can only open with someone else, right? Yeah, vending machine. Similar campaign. So we have this vending machine. You go in there, you take a bottle of Coke, but then you can only open with someone else holding and then you twist it with the other person to get it open. Because Coca-Cola is trying to run a campaign that we need one another. Right? Social media is telling us otherwise. And as immigrants, we need to tell ourselves that we need one another if we want to move from this individual achievements that a lot of us are attaining with collective achievement. Because not until we have a collective, attainment and achievement, not until then would we be able to institute, systems, have sustainable businesses that can serve as a base of employment for our children. Because I have 2 kids, for example. When they graduate tomorrow, where do I want them to go get a job? Do I want them to go get a job where they will still be judged by the color of their skin or by their names? When you and I, imagine someone like you now having a big publishing company. Just picture it. A publishing company that can employ 5,000, future book writers and authors. Just choice. So, is it possible? The answer is yes. But it will not until we come together and agree on the future that we want to create from the numbers that we have. Thank you so much, Mrs. Adeola and Atekoja, for having me. And yes, I can be back to have these intelligent conversations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So once again, it's bye from here. And like you've known, every week we come with important and amazing guests to have conversations that borders on how we can build an effective community and how we can help each other discover our why and bring about the decision that will help us to start living as we should. So until I come your way next week with another important guest, please be safe and stay out of trouble. Bye. Episode of My Strong Why Show is proudly sponsored by Low Data Publishing, a subsidiary of Low Data Consulting LLC. At Low Data, we help high-achieving entrepreneurs, professionals, and faith-driven coaches turn their stories, wisdom, live assignments into best-selling and 6-figure legacy book. Because your story isn't just a content, it is a currency, a calling, and it is a catalyst for transformation. So if you be sitting on a message that the world needs to hear, don't let fear or confusion set in. Let's help bring your book to life. Book your free consultation now at lodataconsultingllc.com, and I'll see you inside.